golf clubs are. This can never be the subject. So here are the golf clubs. And then number 15, $6.54 was the cost of the meal, because money it's talking about, even though it's a plural, dollars and cents, it's one price or one cost, so we consider that a unit. $6.54 was. All right, moving on to the next section. All right, we've got using nouns. We have to identify the use, and it's been a while since we've done this. So let's make sure we're remembering correctly. And like I said, it helps when we underline the verb and the subject to make sure we know what we're looking for. Predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives follow what types of verbs? Linking verbs. So what follows action verbs? That's where you're going to have your direct object or possibly an indirect object with it. Remember, you can't have an indirect object if you don't have a direct object. So sentence 1, we've got P, N, D, O, I, O, and D, A. So they're even putting indirect address in there. And we're going to put it over the bold print words. Okay. Well, here's my subject, just so I remember. And verb is. Here's my linking verb. So I know this cannot be a direct object. It's got to be a predicate nominative. Governor equals Mr. Thompson. Remember, we can do that with predicate nominatives. Daniel, have you seen my watch anywhere? Remember, here's our subject. When we've got a question, we've got a split verb. You have seen who or what? Watch. So this is an action. Watch is your direct object. So what does that make this? No real part of a sentence other than showing direct address because it's speaking to Daniel. All right, how about this one? Did you send Joe a letter? You did send what? A letter. So Joe can't be the direct object, right? This is an action verb. A letter to whom or for whom? Now that would work. So Joe is functioning as an indirect object here. This is why it's helpful to underline those subjects and verbs to help you figure out the function of other words in the sentence. All right, the boys gave their mother an orchid on Mother's Day. All right, so the boys gave, we've got an action, they're physically giving something. Gave what? An orchid, so here's our direct object. To whom? Mother. We have an indirect object. And if you remember too, an indirect object will always come between the verb and the direct object. Okay? Just like here, we didn't have to label this as the direct object, letter, but I-O, the indirect object, Joe, comes between that verb and that direct object. All right, Martin Luther, I've got to see which words are bold here. Martin Luther reawakened Europe to the gospel. Martin Luther's our subject. I thought that was in bold. Reawakened. Reawakened what? Or whom? Europe. Excuse me. All right, number 6. Our class sent the missionary $95. So class and sent, we've got an action verb. Sent what? Dollars. So here's the DO. To or for whom? The missionary. So here's your indirect object. It's receiving the action from that. Okay, class sent what? To or for whom? The missionary. All right, were you sick yesterday, Ron? You really don't need to, but just for good habits, we can tell that this is a noun of direct address. All right, Abraham was the son of Terah. So Abraham was, this is not an action, this is a state of being and a linking verb, right? He was what? This noun is a predicate nominative. It's not receiving an action. Son equals Abraham. And I'm going to pull this up a little. because we're starting to get a little too low. I'm going to pick up with number 9 as I get this mess off of here. Beautiful. All right, that is Alexander. Oh, why am I underlining that? All right, linking verb. Predicate, nominatives. So sorry, I got ahead of myself. All right, that is Alexander. All right, Ben Franklin was, we've got a linking verb, the first Postmaster General of the United States. Because we've got a linking verb, we've got a compound noun, Postmaster General, but it's one title, PN. Okay. Henry VIII was the second Tudor ruler of England. Henry VIII was, we've got a linking verb, ruler, predicate, nominative. All right, so just a reminder of how nouns function. Now next week, you're going to have another quiz over the stuff we're reviewing this week. So please pay attention, think carefully, and use your verbs to help guide you. Are you looking for a predicate, nominative, direct object, etc.? All right, doing the same type of thing, but now with pronouns. We're going to write the correct pronoun in the sentence. And then in the blank before the number, we're going to write its job. It can be a subject, direct object, indirect object, predicate, nominative, or object of a preposition. Now remember, if it's a subject or a predicate nominative, those are those ones. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Those go with go. Your direct object, your indirect object, your object of a preposition is the objective case. Me, you, him, her, it, us, you, them. Those are the ones we use with the word to in front of it to remind us which case. All right, should the new captains be, so we've got captains as our subject, should be, what type of verb? Linking verb. So we're looking for a predicate nominative. Should be they. They go. We're looking for a predicate nominative because we want to be able to reverse it around. They should be the new captains. You wouldn't say them should be the new captains. All right? And because it's a predicate nominative in this sentence, we're going to fill in the blank with PN. All right? Samantha and what? This would have to be a compound subject. Would you say I won the last game or me won the last game? Of course you would say I. Okay. There's one. All right, I won. So when you put it together, Samantha and I won. It is functioning as a subject, and it comes from that subjective or nominative case. I go. Number 3, the principal called us boys to his office or we boys to his office. Well, the principal called, there's an action verb. We're not looking for a predicate nominative. So we're looking for what? A direct object. We can hold that word boys off and say the principal called us or the principal called we. Well, only one's going to make sense. So even though we have this in the sentence to clarify who is us, okay, you cannot say we. The principal called us. Called who or what? So it makes it a direct object. Us is functioning as a direct object. All right, Mike Reagan sits between Brandon and I or me. Well, if you notice, we've got a prepositional phrase, right? Between Brandon and then in history class is another prepositional phrase. So this is going to be an object of a preposition. We can recognize that. So it can't be a subjective or a nominative pronoun. We can't say between Brandon and I. It's not an objective pronoun. There are times when we can accurately use me when it's receiving that action, or it's in a prepositional phrase. So, object of a preposition, these are the ones that are in the objective case to me, so between Brandon and me. All right, number 5, Mrs. Shipton told, let's underline this, that should be an action verb, told what? The story, okay, to whom? So we're looking for an indirect object, Samuel, and again, because we're looking for something in the objective case, to me, right? She told me the story, so even though we're putting Samuel in there, Mrs. Shipton told Samuel and me the story of David and Goliath. She didn't tell them, she told the story to them, so this is an indirect object. It's been a while since we reviewed this, so we're going over this together. All right. I believe this continues on the next page. Okay. We are at the bottom. Let me zoom out and get to the next page. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now, the rest of this section right here, 6 through 15. I'm going to erase this so you can see. This is the part you're going to do on your own. Okay. And this is something that you will send me a picture of. I want you to choose the correct form of pronoun, writing it in the longer blank to complete the sentence.